Okay, welcome to the Unit 4 Review Podcast. I think you're going to find that this is not a particularly difficult test, at least the multiple choice questions, and I'm really about to give you all of the questions. So you all recognize this image, right? Where is it located? What religious tradition is it associated with? Anybody who gets that one wrong, I will whip you with wet spaghetti from a distance. What spiritual activity largely took place in this site? In other words, how did the worshipers perform their act of worship? And I'm looking for a specific term there, one you should know. What was the primary function of this building? And again, that's a specific term. We talked about these in the podcast and in class. Finally, and yes, these were actual AP questions, although they appear on the College Board practice exam, which is issued just to teachers and was not actually an exam students took. What ruler commissioned this work? This is another College Board favorite. This shows up on more than one AP exam. So what is this? What was its primary function in Muslim worship? Or what is its primary function in Muslim worship? What artistic features do you see in this work? And hint, what features do you not see on this or any other Islamic art? You're going to get a whole bunch of questions that revolve around that. There will be a question on the AP test that requires that you know that particular feature of Islamic art. Okay, here are just some random questions I stuck onto a slide. I have two of these. What are mosaics? Just looking for a definition. That should be easy. Who was the best known Islamic architect? You saw a video section on him. So-and-so the Great, to make it really easy on you. And what famous works did he design? You need to know those by name and location. Where did he work and for which empire? What were the primary countries where Buddhism took hold? What kind of decoration does and does not appear on Islamic religious architecture? What purpose does the enclosed space in a mosque serve, as opposed to, say, the courtyard? What happens in that enclosed space? What is a minaret, and what purpose does it serve? What are the major characteristics of Islamic calligraphy, and how can this calligraphy vary? What does it never include? You notice a certain repetition there? Okay, this is another AP favorite, shows up on more than one exam. What is, and it's a very, very distinctive image. So what is this? What building is it? What part of the building is it? Where is it located? The stripes, by the way, should always give this one away. What architectural features does this room exhibit? You've encountered this before, by the way, in Egyptian temples. Where would the mihrab in this structure have been located? I'm not actually sure if this image is showing it at the end. It doesn't matter because you should know the answer to that, and you need a technical term. What is the name of the part of the arch that's striped? That is the part that's leading up to the keystone. You may want to go back and look at your slides and look at those parts of an arch. By the way, you're going to need that information for your next unit on Byzantine art, so you might as well start learning it now. What term is used to describe this particular kind of art, which is so typical of Muslim architecture? What architectural features do you see and again not see in this mosque? And finally, and this is a little trickier, what purpose do the double arches serve? I recommend you go back and review the textbook discussion of this mosque with special attention to its architectural features. Again, this is one that shows up all the time. Remember that the College Board, when it's using images, is going to try to be fair to you. They're going to try to find very distinctive images. This is a famous building, but frankly, it's the stripes that make it so distinctive. Know this one. By the way, here is another mosque interior. What room is this? In other words, what is this used for? It's like the one before. And again, what purpose did it serve? What architectural feature characterizes this as well as the interior you just saw? It's a word, it's a term from Egyptian temples as well. It's one that, as far as I can tell, shows up on every AP test, so it's one you need to know. Okay, you all recognize this building, right? It's another AP favorite, and in fact, it was one of the images in the 2013 test image-based question section, but it's appeared in other years as well. So what is it? Where is it located? And in some ways, the trickiest question, what was its purpose? What material is it built out of? What are those 4 tall towers? And let me give you a hint. Do not let those towers confuse you about the purpose of this building. Remember that this building was part of an entire religious complex. And then this question is tricky. See that large arched opening in the front and then the smaller arched openings, on 2 stories on either side. These are openings that open out into the courtyard below or onto balconies above. They're part of the building that is added on to the central rectangle dome. In fact, you can see smaller domes over these rooms. What is the name for those rooms? It's in the slides. It's in your book. And by the way, this should further indicate that you really need to know your mosque terminology. This is an actual AP question. What is the whole complex, including its elaborate pools and gardens, intended to represent and symbolize? By the way, let me just make a note again about terms. You should be careful to use your art historical terms on your essays on the mosque and on the stupa. And that's true both of your long essay that you're submitting via turnitin.com and the essays that will be on the test. The grading rubrics emphasize that students are expected to use specific terminology. So whenever possible, learn this terminology and use it. This image does not appear on the test, but it will help you answer one of the questions about the building you just saw. How is the structure's exterior decorated? Just note the decorative features. And you also, by the way, need to know what material this building was constructed from. Okay, this image has not appeared on an actual AP test, at least not one of the 5 that I have. I took the questions on this from one of the AP review books. Still, as I look over the 5 AP tests that I have, I notice there's a definite trend to include more non-Western art in the multiple choice questions. So when this showed up in the review book, I thought, this is not a bad image to have stuck in your mind. So what is this building? What is it used for? And by the way, I'll be looking for a technical term here, which is in your slides. Okay, here are just a few more random questions. What figures often accompany Buddhas? You've seen lots of these, kind of a funny term, but I bet you'll recognize it. What do wheels symbolize in Buddhism? By the way, I left out my question mark. That's one I really could, this was not an actual AP question, but it's one I could easily imagine appearing on the AP test. There's been something of a trend toward more questions on Buddhism. What were the primary Buddhist countries? I said were, by the way, because one of them is no longer a major Buddhist country. What kind of decoration does and does not appear on Islamic religious architecture? Does it sound like that question in various forms is going to appear several times? Yup, it's because it's appeared on multiple AP exams. What purpose does the enclosed space in a mosque serve? Again, that's one that shows up more than once. What is a minaret, and what purpose does it serve? What are the major characteristics of Islamic calligraphy? How can that calligraphy vary? That's something I talked about in my podcast. What does that calligraphy never include? That question shows up a lot. Okay, here's another College Board favorite. Again, a very distinctive image. Sorry, this one's a little blurry. It turns out that the image I had was rather small, so when I blew it up, it became blurrier. So what is this building? Where is it located? What is housed in this building? And what significance does this have for Muslims? Hint, you need to know the religious narrative that goes with this. Okay, this image does not appear on your AP exam, but a question about Persian manuscripts and how they differ from most Islamic art does appear on the test. And the picture contains the answer, which I hope you already know anyway. Finally, what are these designs? What do they portray? What are they? And what term is used to describe them? This is not going to be a tough test, as you can see. You have the essay questions, so you should come in thoroughly prepared. You have plenty of time. Good luck.